So I don't think there's a default template for success, but I think there's things that you can do to put yourself in the best position to succeed. So I talk about stuff in the book. I talk about the one thing in business you can control is effort. Going out there and sales, curing all. So I think, and I agree with your point that there are things that if you do them, you put yourself in the best position to succeed.
I describe myself as a grinder. I just, like we talked about learning, that's a grind, but I love it, and I think I've just learned what I'm good at and learned to focus on those things and try to, utilize those skills to now, not just be an entrepreneur, but probably more often now invest in and help other entrepreneurs. Everybody's got something that they're good at, and the hard part is just finding it. And I found out early that I was a good salesperson, that I really liked business. Like I like sports. I mean, I read everything I possibly could, played sports as much as I could, just wasn't as good as I wanted to be. And business was the same way. I mean, as long as I could remember, I was buying and selling baseball cards, garbage bags, whatever I could find, stamps to collectors. But I was also reading everything I possibly could about business. And
I started my first business when I was 12. I was buying and selling baseball cards, buying and selling stamps. Anything I could do to make money, I was hustling and trying to do. So I would, go out and buy a bunch of baseball cards that I collected, and I would say, okay, you're guaranteed to have a Pittsburgh Pirate in this package, and I would charge 3 times as much, and I'd set up on this park bench down in the park down in Scott Township where I grew up, and I'd have these little sales. And it was great. I made money, and it was, and I learned as much about business when I was 9, 10, and 12 as I learned any other time. And I was a hustler. There's no question I was a hustler.
Even in high school?
Oh yeah, and into business in a big way. But I don't think people saw it in me. It wasn't like people looked at me and go, oh, he's destined to succeed.
I went to Indiana University and I had to pay for my own school. Well, I had to figure out every which way in order to do it. The chain letter was my junior year. You buy the chain letter from somebody, and in the letter is a list of 10 names. You give $50 to the person you bought the letter from, and you send $50 to the person at the top of the list, scratch their name off, put your name at the bottom. Then find at least 10 people to sell it to so that one by one, your name works its way to the top of the list. Well, I did that and got my name to the top of the list. And I also sold it so that none of the people I sold it to lost any money, because I would have felt horrible. I remember getting up every morning so excited because there'd be like envelopes with $50 here, $50 there. It was amazing. It was great. It was illegal, but that was my chain letter my junior year, and that's how I paid for my junior year of college. Now, in terms of disco lessons, I needed a job. I like to dance. I always liked to dance. I was okay at it. I was out dancing with some friends at a club. Somebody saw me and they're like, we need you to give disco lessons at our sorority house. Cool, how much are you gonna pay me? They're like $25 an hour. I'm like, yes. I got to go to a sorority house, who then referred me to another sorority house, who then referred me to another sorority house. It was the happiest time of my life.
I mean, I was into learning. I was a business guy. I was the guy reading about business all the time, reading business books all the time. Going to junior achievement. I was a junior achievement geek. Learning became far more important to me, because the one certainty in business is that it's always going to be changing. If you're not always learning, to this minute, if I'm not continuously learning, if I'm not just absorbing as much as I can absorb, someone else is going to kick my ass, right? So you talk about paranoia. The greatest source of your paranoia should be knowledge. If someone else knows more than you do, and if you're not learning, if you don't know how to learn, if you don't have a thirst for learning and acquiring information, you're SOL.
Out of all the reasons in the world, and I've read your book, you have the 10, all these keys to success, etc. What would you say is the number one reason why people fail? Not necessarily why they make it, the complete opposite.
Right, lack of brains, lack of effort.
Lack of brains, lack of effort.
Yeah, they don't do the work. They don't learn. When you walk in the room, when you start a business and you start to talk about somebody, you're never in a vacuum with no competition. Unless you're just extremely lucky. And if there's going to be competition, that means somebody else knows your business as well as you do when you get started. And if you walk into a competitive environment and they still know more about the business than you do and more about your customers, you're going to lose. But most people don't consider that. They don't do the work. They don't learn more about their industry. They don't know even about their business. And so you've got to put in the effort to know more about your industry than anybody else. And that's the brains part, and that's the effort part as well. Because look, if you're competing with me, you better know what you're doing, otherwise I'm gonna kick your ass.
If you really want to learn something and be great at something, you have to put in the time. A lot of people look for mentors as shortcuts, when in reality, maybe they help you a little bit, maybe they help you avoid some mistakes, but when you're just getting started out in particular, it's okay to make those mistakes. And more importantly, you have to make the commitment to put in the time to learn what you need to learn to be great at something or good at what you want to be good at.
Whatever industry you pick, if you outwork everybody, if you try to be a little smarter than everybody, if you try to be a better salesperson than everybody, if you try to be better prepared than everybody, you've got your best chance. Because if you don't do it and somebody else does, you know, I have the saying, work like someone's trying to take it all away from you. You know, I actually work like someone's spending 24 hours, working 24 hours to take it all away from you. And that's kind of the way I look at it. You have to be smart. You can pick the wrong things. And you know, you're talking, you know, alluding to it earlier about entrepreneurs being born or built, you know, and I think I knew I was wired to be excited about business. How or why, I don't know, but you know, and there's certain guys that have the genetics to jump out of the gym, right? There's certain guys, you know, that, you know, when they golf, they have the muscle memory and the discipline. You know, Dirk Nowitzki may not be the most talented guy in the NBA, but his discipline and his focus to do what's necessary to be successful, he's willing to do, and combine it with being 7 feet tall and being skilled, you know, it makes him an amazing basketball player. So it's understanding what your skill set is, finding the right place to use those skills, and then going for it. You know, will that make you 250 grand? It depends if you pick the right industry. So whatever business you have, there's somebody trying to put you out of business. There's somebody trying to take a bite out of your business, and it's better for you to figure out how they're going to do it rather than they do it. And so yeah, that's being paranoid. And so you have to be paranoid. You have to anticipate other people's next moves, and you can't ever, you know, downplay the competition. You know, I was telling, I was at a business plan competition this morning at a college, and they were kind of being dismissive of the competition, and so you can't ever do that. You know, they're out there trying to take you down, and they're not just going to sit still. And if you're good, really, really good, you're going to inspire them to work even harder, faster, better. And so you have to be, you know, very self-aware of what you're good at and what other people are good at. And, you know, a healthy dose of paranoia makes a big difference. Is very helpful. You've got to know your own skill set, right? And you've got to know how that fits within your company's life cycle. You know, some companies are slow grind. And you just have to understand that, and you've just got to bide your time until it starts to click, and then grow with it quickly. You know, if you're trying to release a product that needs to be ubiquitous, you've got to go as fast as you can, and then, you know,
release a product,
yeah,
like a launch.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of people who will say, you know, perfection is the enemy of profitability, right? And that doesn't mean you have to wait till it's a perfect product. You know, CyberDust is a perfect example. We still haven't, it's been almost 2 years, we still haven't advertised it yet because we know it's not ready yet. You know, and so it's been a slow growth grind because we want feedback, you know, we want to keep on learning, we're evolving. But it really just depends on what the product is. It, you know, a barbershop, right? Is it an app? Is it a service? Is it a product? But you know, the key is looking for the low-hanging fruit. What customers are willing to write you a check or commit to it, you know, so that they're willing to integrate it into their daily lives or integrate it into their daily business. And so getting a commitment either through time or revenue is typically what I look for. And so if I can get a commitment, then I'm going to be able to learn. I'm going to see how they use it. Do they sustain usage? And then once I get the next one, you know, hopefully it came a little bit faster than the first one. Then I can ask for referrals, and then the next one, then the next one, and I just try to ramp it up. But in terms of speed of growth, it's really, you got to get that first customer first. And then when you get that first, what did you learn? Reiterate, get that next customer. And then hopefully as you learn more and more through the process, then the next one comes by even faster. You know, my dad did upholstery on cars. My mom did whatever odd jobs. But my dad was always like, if you want something, you have to earn it. And to his credit, he never said, no, you can't do that. So whether it was selling garbage bags, baseball cards, stamps, whatever it was, he never held me back. And so I think that was as important as anything. And you know, sometimes being young and trying things, you're so naive and you don't know any better. All you do is learn. And if you fail, it doesn't matter. And so, whether I was 9, 10, 12, 16, 21, the failures were irrelevant. And whether you're 9, 12, 16, 21, 22, 24, I'm sleeping on the couch, I have a car with a hole in the floorboard, I'm living like a bum and like a student. And so what did I have to lose? And so I think that influenced me as much as anything. So it was, my dad was like, go for it, why not? What have you got to lose? You have to sleep on a different couch.
So how do I manage my work-life balance now? It's easy. I'm rich. I do whatever I want. If I want to play with my kids, I play with my kids. If I travel, I jump on my plane. It really depends on where you are in your life. When I was first getting started, I was living 6 guys in a 3-bedroom apartment, and so I had no work and home balance. I was working at night as a bartender, and all I did was work. I went 7 years without a vacation, dude. That's what it's going to take. That's home life balance. You should just be yourself. I mean, it's not something I try to be. I just try to be myself. I just try to help where I can, do what I can, be a good dad, and I'm not trying to be something for somebody else, just myself. I just try to do the best like everybody else. I mean, I've been blessed. Like I say all the time, I'm the luckiest guy in the world, and I just try not to take it for granted. I try to enjoy every minute. And I think now, as I've gotten a little bit older, I try to give a little bit more back than I have before, and try to help more people. And in terms of whatever, if anybody else finds themselves in my position, just enjoy the moment, enjoy every minute of it. Everybody's got potential. The key to being successful and achieving your dreams, no matter what they are, is finding something you really, really like to do and being great at it. When you're great at something, you get to write your own ticket. So I'm always going to hire the expert. If you just have potential, chances are you're working for the expert.